Heading into the abyss, or do you think that we're heading into the skyline and the clouds? I'd like to know what you think so far. I know for me, my 2022 so far, not been so bad. I've been exceptionally busy. I've actually been struggling with, well, I won't say struggling. I'll say that I've been very challenged at my day job. I do still have a day job, for those of you who are wondering. This is not yet a 24-hour full-time endeavor for me financially wise. Now, it's a 24-hour full-time endeavor for me in terms of the ministry and the effort that I'm putting into it to make sure that this radio station is supplying you with the inspiration and the information that you need here for this city. But as far as financially, I'm not getting any financial. If I went into this to get rich, I definitely went into the wrong business. You know what I mean? So I have a day job. And for those of you who are wondering, well, what does Lady J do during her day job? Well, I get the privilege of working remote. So this whole thing that happened over the last couple of years, there's been a trend where so many people and companies now are taking advantage of technology in order to do more remote work. So the job that I do, I have the privilege of being able to work remotely at home. So I'm able to log in and do my time over the internet. And I do things that are a little bit technical, a little bit analytical, if you will. So my official title, in case you were wondering, is business analyst. And you say, well, what does a business analyst do? What does analyzing a business entail? Well, you take a big company and they need something built for them. Let's say it's a piece of software, or it's a website, or maybe even manufacturing a car, or whatever it might be. And in order to figure out what exactly to build, a person like me comes in and asks a lot of questions to say, what exactly would you like this thing to look like? How do you want it to work? What do you want it to do? Once you've got what it is that you have in your mind to have it built, what does it look like when it's done? So I ask lots and lots of questions. And then I put all that together in some documents that I then turn over to the people who are the builders. In the computer world, we call those folks developers. But basically, they build the various pieces of software or applications or websites or what do you call those? Android apps, things of that nature. Things like your IVR systems, you know, those terrible, annoying things that when you call and you have to go through a computer that says, press 1 if you want this, or press 2 if you want that. I've worked on things like that. Well, what I'm working on now is I actually do this for several different companies. So I'll move around from company to company, and once they have gotten what they need over a several month period, then usually I do contracting for another company. And I've actually been doing this for about 15 years. So I've worked at probably all the major companies you can think of, at least in the Omaha area, and some that are not located in Omaha. Lots of Fortune 500s, Fortune 1000 companies. And so I'm a little bit of a tech geek, a little bit of a computer nerd, and I actually make my money fooling around with computers and trying to help people describe what it is that they need to have built in the software world to make our lives easier for all the nice websites and applications that you and I use on a regular basis. So right now I'm in the financial industry, and I won't go too much further because I don't want to reveal the companies that I'm working for, but right now I'm in the financial industry, and it's been really interesting in the financial industry to see how fast things are changing in the financial world. There are things that we just flat out weren't able to do 5-10 years ago that now we can do, and it's really amazing. You've got this stuff out here about blockchain and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all that stuff, and then you've got the technology even on your phone. There are things that you can do on your phone now with your financial apps. I mean, think about things like Cash App. Cash App wasn't even around a few years ago, and now all of a sudden lots and lots of people use Cash App to move money from one person's bank account to another pretty seamlessly. Well, someone like myself, a business analyst, actually had to sit with the company and say, well, how would you want to build this application so that Jane Doe can instantly, at a push of a button, transfer money to Johnny Q? How do you want that to work? What do you want it to look like? What colors should it be? and all the different things that make that application work so that you can transfer money from one person to another. Those are the types of things that I work on as a business analyst. And so I get a kick out of it. Some of you guys are listening to that like, that sounds like it's the most boring. It's the most boring job ever. And I would say that if you have a talent in something and you're doing something that you like and that you love, it doesn't even feel like work. So I'm happy to say that I'm blessed to be working in the type of business or doing the type of jobs that I enjoy doing. There's nothing worse than being on a job that you hate. And it's not that you hate it because of the people that you're working with, but you just hate the work itself. You know, like if you're if you're a creative type and somebody asked you to sit down and work on writing papers and documents all day long, that would probably drive you crazy. Even if you had the best set of people in the world that you were working with, if it's not the type of work that you like doing, that can make it hard to get up and go to work every day. Now, some of us, we just don't have a choice. It's like, well, you know, if you don't, you eat how you work, right? If you don't work, you're not going to eat. If you work a little bit, you're going to eat a little bit. If you work hard and you work a lot, you'll eat more. You know, it's that sort of thing. And some of us, it's just day to day. Hey, I got to figure, you know, I got to do something. So let me get on out here and do this GrubHub or DoorDash or whatever it is. And I may not like it, but it's putting food on the table. You know what? That is admirable to be able to do that. And it's important that we don't just give up the fight and say, well, you know, I'm tired of working, don't want to work no more, so I just quit. Don't ever quit a job without having another one already lined up, because you just don't know whether or not you're going to need to hold on to that job. And don't burn your bridges. If you got to leave a job for whatever reason, either the management's bad or it's just not a good fit for you in one way or another, you know, those things happen. It's just like any other relationship. Sometimes relationships work and sometimes they don't. Just don't burn your bridge. If you got to quit, don't cuss them out and flip them off on the way out. Try to, you know, leave with a little bit of class. That's important because you just never know when you might not need to go back that way for one reason or another. And plus, you know, the Omaha especially is small. Omaha is really small, so you don't want to ruin your reputation of being that person that, you know, quits and is rude and mean when they quit, because that can definitely impact your next gig, whatever it might be, and it can influence whether or not you get that next job or not. And then we have some of us that we may not be in the position that we want to be, but we're using the job that we're in order to be a stepping stone to the job that we want to be in. And that's very important as well. I like to say it's important to work to learn and not just work to earn. That you should do the best you can to learn as much as you can in whatever job you're in. It doesn't matter whether or not you're flipping burgers in the back of Burger King somewhere. Learn how those processes work. Learn how all those moving pieces and parts work, because you don't know if those skills might not one day set you up to be in a position to move up to management or to one day own a franchise. So whatever you do, make sure that you're working to learn and not just only working to earn. So I don't know who that's for, but hopefully that'll be some good advice for somebody who's out there. And with having said all that, I'm circling back to my original question, which was, how's your 2022 going? Well, for me, my 2022 has been exceptionally busy, both in my personal life as well as my professional life. Right now, I've been working on this same document now for 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks, just staring at a spreadsheet all week long. And I tell you, as much as I don't mind doing this sort of work, this one has been taking me down. It's been really, really, it's a huge project. And without giving away, you know, like I said, too many details about the company, this particular project I'm doing, it basically sets up all of the reports for millions and millions of credit card holders around the country. So I really feel like my work is making a difference, but boy, is it a lot of work to do. And so I want to know from you guys, what kind of things do you do to encourage yourself or motivate yourself, especially in the context of on your job? Now, I know for me, there are a few things that I use to motivate me to get through those difficult pieces of work. And it may not work for everybody, depending on your job. Like for example, some jobs you can't use your phone on the job. Some jobs you can't have on headphones because if it's, let's say, construction related or driving related, it could be a safety hazard. So you're not able to listen to music or things like that. But for me, I like listening to different types of instrumental music because it kind of gets me out of my own head and it helps me to really focus on the work. Sometimes I like listening to podcasts while I'm doing the work, so my mind is kind of busy thinking about different topics. If there's things that I want to learn, topics that I want to learn about, I'll listen to YouTubes that explain topics. And I'm doing all this while I'm working because sometimes moving lines and columns and rows around on a spreadsheet can be very repetitive, and it doesn't take a whole lot of mental energy to do. You just have a lot of it to do. So I listen to podcasts a lot. Maybe some of you guys out there listen to the radio while you are working. Hopefully you've got it tuned to 100.3. Hopefully you got it tuned to this station right here while you're working so you can get that subliminal and unconscious inspiration and encouragement while you're working. So those are some of the things that I do. Some other things that I do is I time box my work. So let's say, for example, I will tell myself, okay, I'm going to work for 1 hour, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything else at all. I'm going to focus totally on that. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to look at social media. I'm not going to fold laundry. I'm not going to do any of that. But for 1 hour, I'm going to do nothing but focus on this one task that I have. And then after that hour, I go ahead and give myself a little break. 15, 20 minutes, I'll step away from the computer and do something completely different. And then I'll get back to it again. So I kind of have a little built-in reward motivation system where it's like, okay, push a little harder, because once you get to the hour mark, then you can go ahead and take a break. I actually, people know that I'm kind of legendary for power napping. I do believe strongly in power naps. If you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to have a job where you can have a long enough break, power naps are awesome. And you say, well, what's a power nap? A power nap is no more than 15 to 22 minutes maximum. And you guys have heard me say this on the air a few times, that power naps, 15 to 22 minutes, they help to work along with your sleep cycles, your energy cycles. So when you're falling asleep, typically at night, it takes you about it takes you a few minutes to fall asleep, but that first 15 to 22 minutes, you're in a light state of sleep. And after about 22 minutes, you go into what they call a deep sleep or a REM sleep. That's where you're usually dreaming, you're very deeply asleep, you're not necessarily aware of what's going on. And then you start coming back up into a lighter mode of sleep around 90 minutes, at around about the hour and a half mark. And that usually, if you wake up during that time, you feel more refreshed. And also, that's normally the time where if you were having dreams, you're more likely to remember your dreams. Well, throughout the night, you go through these 90-minute or so sleep cycles all throughout the night. That's why some of you, if you've ever wondered why you always wake up at the same time every night, and it's always about 3 hours or 4.5 hours after you went to sleep, it's because you're in the light stage of your sleep cycle at that time. So you'll go through a sleep cycle approximately every 90 minutes. So an hour and a half, 3 hours, 4.5 hours, 6 hours, 7.5 hours, and then on from there. But that first 15 to 22 minutes, you're in the light part of the cycle. So if you can time your nap to wake yourself up around 22 minutes or less, you'll find that you'll feel as though you just had a whole hour and a half or 3 hours worth of sleep. But it can't be more than that, because if you go more than 22 minutes, you're about to go into that deeper sleep, and then you'll feel groggy. Has anyone ever awakened you at the wrong, like you were in a deep, deep sleep and they woke you up and you just felt groggy and disoriented? Well, that's because they woke you up in the deep part of your sleep cycle. So the trick, if there is a trick to be had, is to time your sleep, not so much by the time on the clock, but by how many hours you get. So if you want to wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, your target time is not to wake up at a certain time, but to wake up after you have been asleep for a certain amount of time. So for example, let's say I have a really late night, but I got to get up at 6 in the morning. But I'm going. Well, I'll try to target going to bed that at an amount of time that will give me a sleep cycle. So let's say I got to get up at 6 in the morning. If I count back 6 hours, which would be a sleep cycle, then that would be midnight. So I know that if I fall asleep around midnight and get up at 6 a.m., I should feel refreshed even though I only got 6 hours of sleep. Now, if I miss that midnight, the next one I need to take off an extra 90 minutes, remember? Because I said that your sleep cycles are usually about 90 minutes long. So that would be, I would have to say, okay, after midnight, let's go 90 minutes. That'd be 1:30 in the morning. Let's say I'm just having a really late night. I'm working really hard on a document, and I know I got to get up at 6 in the morning. If I can't go to sleep at midnight, I'll try to go to bed at 1:30, because 1:30 plus 4.5 hours is 6 o'clock, and then I'll feel up relatively refreshed and not feel groggy. Same thing with going the opposite way. Let's say I can get a full night's sleep, but I still want to feel refreshed when I get up. I'll go to bed at 10:30. You say, well, why 10:30? Well, if you count 10:30 and you go 7.5 hours, that puts you at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you want to wake up at that light part of your sleep cycle. So that was probably a long way around explaining that, I'm going to be pulling a late nighter tonight on this document because I got to deliver it tomorrow, and it's not all right. It's not all the way done. So I'm already thinking about, okay, what time do I need to go to bed so that I can wake up and still feel refreshed enough to do this presentation early in the morning tomorrow. So I already got my plan of attack mapped out as far as my sleep is concerned. Some other things that I do that help me with my motivation and my encouragement of work really has to do with going along with my energy levels. I don't know if any of you have heard of something called the circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are rhythms where your body is in a more alert state versus a more relaxed or I don't want to say dull state, but I'll say that you have higher energy levels at certain parts of your day, and then there are other parts of your day where you have lower energy levels. And some of us, what makes our work hard is that we're trying to do high energy tasks during a time of day where our body rhythm, our circadian rhythm, is in a low energy state. And it's hard to do a high energy task when you're in a low energy state. Does that make sense? So, for example, some of us feel really perky in the morning. We don't need any coffee. You wake up in the morning, you got high energy. That for you would want to tackle your most difficult tasks during that morning time, because that's when you have your highest energy levels. And then later on during the day, when your energy levels are lower and you don't quite have as much energy, you don't feel as peppy, maybe during that time of day, that's when you go through your emails, you check, maybe you return a few phone calls, but things that, you got to get them done, but they don't require a lot of energy to do. Now, some of us are the opposite. We feel really cranky and groggy in the morning, and we just don't really feel like we get into a stride until the afternoon, right? So for you would want to go with your energy levels and not against your energy levels. So if you have the ability to do your lower impact or lower energy tasks like returning your emails, returning phone calls, things that don't require a lot of energy, you might want to do those sort of tasks in the morning. And then your higher energy tasks, those things that require a lot more effort and concentration, maybe you work on those tasks during the afternoon when you have higher energy levels. Does that make sense? Some of us are night owls. We've heard of people that are night owls. They just want to stay in the bed till 2 and 3 in the afternoon. They might work second shift or third shift. And in the evening, that's when they feel pumped up the most. Well, for you, the same thing would apply. You want to work with your body's energy levels and not against them. Do your most difficult or demanding or focused type of tasks when your energy levels are at the highest. So if you were to do that, if you were to take You figure out what your tasks are that you have, and some things are really, man, that's going to take a lot of energy to do that. And then you look at the other things that you have to do throughout the day, and you're like, yeah, it needs to be done, but that's not really going to require a lot of energy on my part. Try to work your tasks based on your energy levels, your body rhythms. And I have found that that really helps a lot. I don't pressure myself so much to say, well, why aren't you working on that difficult task? Well, I'm definitely in a low energy state right now. And I know, because I've paid attention to my own body rhythms, that I know that, probably around that 3-5 o'clock, that's when I'm going to pick up a second wind, or I'm going to pick up some energy, and then I'll tackle that at that time. Some other things that you can do to help be more productive would be things like grouping your tasks. So let's say you need to run errands, and you also need to return emails, and you need to, do dishes or something. I don't know. So what you want to do is what you don't want. I'm first going to tell you what you don't want to do because it will be ineffective, and then I'll tell you what you do want to try to do if you want to be more effective. So you've got these 3 different things you got to do. You got to run these errands. You got a few errands. You got to do some emails, and then you got to, clean one of the rooms in your house or do dishes or something. What you don't want to do is get in your car, go out, run one errand, come back to the house, try to do a couple of emails, but you're not really getting through it. Stop that, take a break, go out and run another errand, and then come back to the house and, I guess I should do some dishes right now. You see how you're breaking all that up? It would be better, it'd be more efficient if you said, okay, I'm going to work on all the emails and we'll get all those off the plate. When I do my errands, let me write down everything that I need to do when I'm out and about. And let me put them in order from the farthest distance from me to the closest distance to me. So let's say you got one errand that you got to run. It's way out west. You got one that's on 72nd and Dodge, and you got one that's close to your house. Typically what I do is I don't do 3 separate trips, because first of all, that's 3 separate pieces of gas. That's 3 back and forth. So that's 3 different sets of time. And that's just doubling everything. So what I'll do is let me do these dishes, get them out of the way. And let's say I also have to do some laundry. All right, let me put the laundry in. There's nothing I can do while I'm waiting for the laundry to finish. So after I put the laundry in, now I'm going to go out and run these errands. Okay, while my clothes are washing. I go out the farthest place out that I got to go. Get that done first. And now I'm working my way back toward the house. So that way I'm doing one big round trip instead of 3 back and forth trips. So now I've cut down the amount of time that I have to spend on the errands. I only have 1 round trip, so I'm saving myself on gas. And the laundry is getting done while I'm gone. So when I get back, all I got to do is put the clothes in the dryer. There's nothing else I need to do for that. So you kind of want to group your tasks together. Things that are the same type of thing, you want to kind of do those all together. Let's say you're a hairstylist, you're working from home and you're doing hair. Well, it's kind of hard to do hair when you got one person that comes by on a Tuesday, and then you got one person that's coming on a Friday, and then you got one person that wants to come in on Sunday afternoon or whatever. That's hard, because then you got to stop and start. It might be more efficient if you have all your clients come in on, let's say, Friday. You do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. That way, you only have to focus on doing hair that one day for the week, instead of you're splitting your attention and you got to do, okay, now I got to give this my attention on a Monday, give it my attention again on a Friday, give it my attention again on a Sunday. You can just kind of stack it. You can stack all those tasks, or all those heads in this case, in one spot. So these are some things that also can help, is by putting tasks that are kind of similar, doing those similar things all together at the same time, and not trying to multitask or task split from one thing to another thing. So those are just some of the things that I do to be a little bit more productive, to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more effective, especially for those of you that know that I'm a pretty busy person, and I do have a lot on my plate, and I'm trying to figure out how to delegate some things so that I can accelerate the progress on some things that I'd like to see happen. As you know, that LuvLuv and myself, we own this radio station. We started it, founded it, and have been working on it for a very long time. We also have the barber and beauty salon called Man Glam, and LuvLuv is she's just absolutely phenomenal. If you need your hair done, go to manglamplus.com and schedule your appointment. Men, women, damaged hair, doesn't matter. She does it all. Well, we've got some things that we need done in this building. We need things accomplished to improve the radio station. We have acquired a couple of new buildings, and we're getting renovations done. And I've actually been wielding the hammer and the saw and putting in screws and doing all kind of stuff for that building. But I'm looking to go ahead and delegate that off to someone to complete that so we can get that up and running. But we've got that, so trying to expand the barber and beauty salon into another building so that we can grow that and have more talented people here. As far as black business is concerned, more talented people here have another opportunity, whether it's licensed barbers, licensed cosmetologists, people that know how to shine shoes the old school way, people that know how to clean sneakers. Sneaker cleaning is a new big thing. Braids, locks, hair care products, massage, steam therapy, both dry heat and wet heat. This is something that we're working to build, as well as manicures, pedicures, so the whole nail service from hands and feet. There will be nothing like it on this side of town, and we're very close to being done, but we do have some things that need to be done up to code and things of that nature, and they're just a little bit beyond my confidence level to do on my own. So we're getting that done. But I said all that to say that, so all of that is happening at the same time I'm working this full-time job, and at the same time I'm trying to keep healthy relationships with my family members, with my friends, with my godchildren and their children. And as they're growing and going, meaning they're starting to really come into their own and build their lives for themselves. You become a mentor and advisor at that stage. And so there's a lot going on. And plus, we are very high touch in the community, so a lot of people know who we are. And we like maintaining those friendships and networks and connections. And so it does take a lot of being mindful of my schedule, being mindful of my energy levels, being mindful of, am I eating enough? Am I eating enough of the right things? Am I taking my vitamins? Am I getting enough rest? Am I drinking enough water so that I can keep up with the pace? And I know I won't be running at this pace forever, and I'm okay with that. But while I still have the energy and I still have the desire and the time, definitely I'm putting my full effort into all of that, and that's quite all right. Not everything is for every season, but right now I still have this season, and so I'm taking advantage of it, and 2022 is a big part of that. I'm actually looking to acquire some new businesses in completely different fields of expertise, because I've decided that instead of just only wanting to start businesses from scratch that can assist the community and provide employment and all of those things, I'm looking to also acquire some companies that already are showing viability and profitability. And so that way, if I get something that's already successful, then I can use that as leverage to grow the other things that we have that are going on. So that's really what's going on here for me for 2022. And it probably sounds like a lot. And I suppose it is, if I were to step outside of myself and just kind of look and observe, who is this person, Lady J, and what she got going on. And then on top of all that, people ask you to come and speak as Lady J, or they want you to pull out your music instrument and do some live shows and things of that nature. So I guess I do have a lot going on, but I use a lot of those productivity hacks that I mentioned earlier in order to really put myself in a position to be as efficient and effective as possible. Some other things really is your mindset. For example, I don't put too much pressure on myself to accomplish everything all at once. I think that I used to be, I affectionately call myself a recovering perfectionist. I'm a typical firstborn, and so firstborn children, sometimes we can kind of be like the first pancake. You know how you're cooking pancakes and the first one you put on the griddle, it don't ever seem to come out right because the heat's not quite right, the oil's not quite right, your batter is not quite ready to go, and so your first pancake usually doesn't come out all that great. But after you do that first pancake, everything is set just right, and the rest of them seem to come out good. Well, your first child usually is kind of like the first pancake. You know, your parents don't, they've never done it before, and so nobody gives you a manual when you're parenting your kids. And then you bring a lot of fear and uncertainty into your parenting. Sometimes you overcompensate because you want to get it right. And so as a result or a consequence of that, a lot of firstborn children do have a tendency to be very interested in things like overachieving or perfectionism, or really getting things done and being the best at things, because your parents usually, you were the first ones, so they want everything to go right with you. And so in my younger years, exceptionally competitive, a little bit perfectionistic, overachiever, wanted to get everything right. And I'm so glad that now that I'm a bit older and wiser and I've been around the block a few times, I realize that, sometimes good enough is just good enough. Everything doesn't always have to be done perfectly, and everything doesn't always have to be done all at once. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to enlist the support of other people to help you accomplish your goals together. And just to relax. Don't worry about it. That's, most of the times things do just kind of work themselves out. If you're continuing to go the direction that you want to go, and you're continuing to make steps in the direction you want to be, eventually you'll get there. Or if you don't get there, you'll be in the right direction. And most importantly, to appreciate the journey, that it's not always about the destination even. It's about the journey. I think you've heard me say on this station a few times, or if you haven't, it bears repeating again. This is a Lady J quote right here for you. I believe, this is me personally, I believe that the two most important things in life is, number one, where you're headed, and number two, who's with you. In other words, what road are you traveling? Where are you trying to go? And secondly, who's on that road with you? Who's your traveling companions? Who's with you on that journey? Number one, you gotta know an overall direction of where you're headed. And if you don't know that, then you just start going, and eventually you'll start figuring out what's not the right way. Sometimes it's not so easy. People always say, "Oh, what's your purpose in life? What's your plan? What's your future? What do you plan to do or be in 5 years? Or what do you want to be when you grow up?" And sometimes you just flat out just don't know. Have you ever been there? You just flat out just don't know. Well, I usually say, well, if you don't know exactly what direction to go, just start walking, and the path will reveal itself as you're in motion. It's kind of like driving a car. Every car has a steering wheel. Every car also has an accelerator. It's got a bunch of other things too. But if you're sitting in the car and the car is in park and you turn the wheel, what happens? Well, nothing. Nothing is going to happen. You can turn the wheel all you want, but if you're not putting some gas on that pedal, you're not going to go anywhere. It's much easier to change direction once you're going in a direction than it is to sit still and you're paralyzed because you don't know what you want to be or you don't know what you want to do, so you just don't do anything at all. Well, I would encourage you that it's okay to not know fully where you're headed, but it is important to start going, to start walking. You will find that as you get going, you'll find that there are some things in which you will realize that, I don't want to go down that road right there. I tried that, and that's a dead end right there. We don't want to go that way. We definitely don't want to go that way. You'll find that sometimes finding your purpose is just as important to find out what's not your purpose. Does that make sense? That it's just as valid to determine what you don't want to be or where you don't want to go, because then you can use the process of elimination. So it's kind of like attacking a problem but coming at it from the opposite way. So instead of trying to pose the question to yourself, what do you want to be, or what is your purpose, or where do you want to go, sometimes it's just as easy to say, well, what don't I want? Where don't I want to end up? It could be as simple as, well, I don't want to end up in jail, right? That's legitimate. Well, I don't want to end up in jail. So what is that informing you? Well, that's saying that definitely on this journey of life that I'm traveling right now, any direction that would take me closer to potentially getting arrested, I don't want to go that way, right? I mean, that's probably a good example. I may not know what I want to do in my life, but I know I don't want to be in jail. So that informs your decision as you're walking your day-to-day life to say, that's a little illegal, or them people is up to some no good, that is, that if I stick around with them, that's going to lead me down a path I don't want to be. So that'd be an example. Maybe you say, well, I may not know where I want to go in this life, but I know I don't want to end up an addict, right? That's a valid thing. So, when somebody's offering me this thing or that thing at the party, and they're saying, oh, to make you feel good, and don't you want to have a good time, and we're all doing it. For you, you might be like, you know what, I appreciate that you're offering, but I know that if I start down that road, I might end up somewhere where I don't want to be. So it's not even that you're judging them for what they're doing or not doing, but you're simply saying, I don't want to start down any road that I can see clearly may end me up somewhere where I don't want to be. So if I don't want to be addicted, I probably shouldn't start with any sort of gateway drugs. I most certainly should not do anything harder. If I don't want to end up in jail, probably shouldn't hang around with the people that I know is hitting licks or boosting clothes or whatever have you. Probably should disassociate from that. Not because I think they're bad people or anything like that, but just what road do I want to be on, and who do I want to be on that road with me? Remember when I said those are probably the two most important things in life, is what road you're on and who's traveling on that road with you? That's the second part of that whole idea. And that is, if you're on a road and your companions that are on the road with you, or the people that are traveling that road with you, want to go a different direction than what you want to go, you might want to consider getting some new traveling companions. And this can be relationships. You got an abusive boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're just messing up your self-esteem. They're causing you anxiety and depression, and you're crying all the time, and you're in fear. You're living in fear. Probably don't want to travel down the road too much longer with that person, because they're not going to get you where you want to go, and they're definitely wanting to take you down a different path than where you want to be. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop loving that person. And that can be male or female. Women can be abusers too. It's not just guys. It can be women too. And abuse can take many forms, whether it's verbal abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's financial abuse, whether it's social abuse. And you say, what's social abuse? Social abuse would be where, let's say you have a boyfriend or girlfriend that is cutting you off from all your family members or all your friends, and pretty much they're isolating you to where they want to be your in all and be all, and they don't want you to have any other friends. They don't want you to hang out with your family members. They just want you all to themselves. That's a form of social abuse. It can be controlling. It can be that can be very debilitating. And so all of those things would be unhealthy. Okay, so that would be an example of someone you may want to reconsider traveling down your road of life with that person, because they are not trying to go the same direction as you. They're trying to keep you still. They don't even want you to go or grow. They just want you to totally be at their every whim of control, and that's not healthy either. And that can be on both sides. So I'm not singling out male or female. It can be on either side. Let's say that you have some friends or associates, and the main thing that holds you guys together is your shared social vices. Let's just say, maybe you have certain friends, they're your drinking buddies, and you have certain friends, they like to do a little coke, and you got certain friends, they like to do sexual things. You got certain friends that like to do criminal things, or they like to, whatever it is. I mean, and maybe they've been your friends for a long time, maybe even since junior high, high school, elementary school, college, whatever have you. But the only thing that really holds you together to them is that shared vice, whatever that vice is. If that's the only thing holding you to that person, and one day you realize that, well, this particular activity, whatever it is no longer serving me the way that it used to, or it's no longer helping me to pursue going on a better road of purpose in my life, it might be time to pull back a little bit from those folks. And that could include if you're in, let's say, a gang, let's say you're in a fraternity, sorority, let's say you're in a secret society. If you find that those things are no longer serving you on a godly or a more righteous path for your life, it's okay to say that, yeah, I need to pull back from that. Not because they're bad people, not that you want to necessarily cut them off as friends, or I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm saying you have to decide who are the companions on the road of life with you, and are those people going the same direction as you? Are they encouraging you to go and to grow? Or are they stagnating you, or are they derailing you? Are they sending you off on a path you don't want to be? Those are important questions to ask, because at the end of the day, when we stand before God, we're not going to stand before God and he ask us what Johnny did or what Jane did. He's going to ask us, what did you do? What did you believe upon me? Did you allow my Holy Spirit to lead and guide you into all truth? Did you do the very best you could with all of the gifts and talents that I gave to you? Were you able to be a blessing to other people? Or when you stand before God, he's not going to ask you what everybody else did. He's going to ask you what you did. And so I want to kind of end up here with a scripture that kind of talks about being on this way of life. And it's talking about God, because ultimately God is the Holy Spirit is the one that wants to walk this road of life with you. He's the most important person who should be on your journey of life. God should be involved with every decision that you make. He should be involved with every step that you take. And I'll just read for you just a couple of scripture verses here, because I know I didn't actually quote too many scriptures today. It was just kind of talking a little bit about kind of my life and what things I do to be a little bit more productive. Let me read this verse for you. This is in Proverbs chapter 3. Let me roll up here a little bit. All right, it says here in Proverbs chapter 3, there's a few verses that I want to read for you. There's actually more than one. So one is the famous verse in Proverbs 3 where it talks about, actually I'll just start at verse 1 and we'll just kind of roll with it. It says in Proverbs 3 verse 1, "My son, forget not my law," this is God talking, "forget not my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee." So following the commandments of Christ, following the leadings and promptings of the Holy Spirit, following what you see in the Word as best you understand it, it says length of days, long life, and peace will be added to you if you do these things. He says, "Don't let mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck and write them upon the table of your heart. So shall you find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man." So you want to follow after mercy. You want to follow after truth. That's what it's saying here. Don't let mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck and write them upon the table of your heart. That's basically saying when you're wearing a necklace is something that is on your, well, first of all, it's on your neck. And it is the divider between your head and your body. A necklace is a divider between your head and your body because it sits on your neck. The head can move in different ways, but the body can't turn without the neck. The head can't turn without the neck. The neck is the essential point that helps to provide direction for the rest of the body. So when he's saying mercy and truth, put them around your neck, he's basically saying let mercy and truth guide your decisions and guide your actions. Mercy, meaning sometimes you just got to let it go. You still mad at somebody for something they did 20 years ago? Honey, let it go. Really. Because it's not serving you anymore to be in bitterness or unforgiveness toward them. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go back to be in fellowship with them, but it does mean just let it go. Mercy. Have mercy on them. Let God take care of it. God says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You still mad at somebody for something they did 30 years ago? Honey, let it go. You still mad at something that somebody did to you? Your classmate hurt your feelings when you were in elementary school and you 40-something years old now still mad at them about it? Honey, let it go, okay? Just have some mercy on them. Let it go. The other one is truth. So you want both mercy and truth. What is the truth? You gotta stand for what's the truth in any given situation. And sometimes you gotta search for the truth because it's not always going to be obvious, especially in the age of media, propaganda and brainwashing, where you see so much manipulation that's happening in social media and in media on both sides of the aisle. You got to seek after truth. Jesus says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. So you know that you got to start with Christ and you got to start with Scripture as your basis for truth. But you want truth to be around your neck. And then it says, write them, mercy and truth, upon the table of your heart. That means the heart is it moves blood throughout the whole rest of your being. You cannot live without your heart pumping. So mercy and truth should be at the innermost part of who you are. Mercy and truth should be that most integral part of every decision that you make. That's what he's saying there. And he says, if you do these things, you'll find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and the sight of man. Well, of course you will. Because if people understand you to be a truthful person and a merciful person, that means you have good judgment. That means you have wisdom. That means if you're following the commandments of God, that means you're living with integrity. Of course you're going to have favor with God if you're doing those things. And believe it or not, people will have respect for you if you're doing those things as well. Now here in verse 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And don't lean unto your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. So if you're living a life of integrity, mercy, truth, following the Holy Spirit, following the commandments of God, trusting Jesus, who is the truth, then you will find the favor and good understanding from God. And if you trust the Lord with all your heart, and not just unto your own thinking, but you really trust in God and acknowledging him in all your ways, he will direct your paths. Remember when we were talking about there's two most important things in life? One is the road you're traveling, and two is who you're traveling it with. Your most important travel companion should be the Lord. Because it says here, if you acknowledge him, he will direct your paths. That's powerful. He goes down, he continues on in Proverbs chapter 3, and he says, starting in verse 19, the Lord by wisdom has founded the earth. By understanding has he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto your soul and grace to your neck. Here we go again with the neck. Then shall you walk in your way safely, and your foot shall not stumble. So if we're walking on this path and we're observing the Lord in everything that we do, he will lead and guide and direct our paths. He will show us where not to go, right? Because sometimes that's just as important that's just as important as where you are as where you are going is where you're not going. We talked about that a little bit. And there's one other, let's see, this is, hold on, I'm trying to type and talk and think at the same time. Where is that? Let me pull it up here. Look, I'm going online. There we go. Okay, that took me a little bit. Isaiah chapter 30, and I'm going to wrap it up and let LuvLuv give a little bit of a comment here. It's Isaiah chapter 30.
I don't have any comments on it.
Oh, you don't have any comments? Okay. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. Let me roll on down here, and we're getting here near the end here. It says here in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21, I love this. It says, and thine ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. This is basically a picture that says you have to be walking in order to hear a voice behind you. And you have to be attempting to make a turn in order for the voice behind you to say whether or not you should be turning right or left. So let me read it again. Isaiah 30:21. And your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk you in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. So God is behind you every step of the way, every decision that you're making, every road that you're traveling on your life journey. God is there behind you. He's supporting you. He's giving you direction. He needs you to turn that steering wheel left or right, but he's going to be with you, behind you, saying, hey, this is the way, walk you in it. If you turn to the left, he'll be like, don't do that. Or if you turn to the right, he'll be like, yeah, that's the way. Or you turn to the right and he'll be like, don't do that, honey. Whatever it may be, but you have to be in motion in order for God to give you those directions. Notice he says, this is the way, walk you in it. You have to be walking. You have to be moving. So trust that God is going to illuminate your path for you. He's going to show you your purpose. He's going to show you what direction to go. Even if it's as simple as showing you what way not to go, God is perfectly capable of blessing your life and leading and guiding you as you acknowledge him in all your ways. So that's pretty much all I've got for this week. LuvLuv has managed to get here. We're actually in between two different events today, so we're preparing for both of those at the same time. So you want to just say a quick hello here to the people before we close out?
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
You sound so sweet.
Hallelujah.
And I see you're all dolled up and made up. I'm feeling underdressed sitting next to you.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
We don't know how that is.
Yep. So we're gonna
You looking all glammed up.
Well, you know, I got my boots.
I was like,
I got my little cute boots today. So
I was
said,
like,
oh
for
boy,
real?
I'm gonna wear my boots a couple more times here before it gets too warm. It's still cold enough.
Oh
to
no,
be
the
able to
boots
rock
you
'em.
have, the boots you have, girl, you can use them for all year round.
So that's about it for this week. I hope that was some good practical advice for you this week. I know sometimes we do things, we get really deep into the scripture. I didn't do that this week, but hopefully you'll have a really good productive, energetic, efficient, effective week this week, and that you will continue to allow the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you into all truth as you continue on this journey of life, and that you will choose wisely who is walking on that road with you. So with that,
Are you happy that I'm walking on this road with you?
yes, we've been walking on this road since I was 15 years old. Now, we ain't telling nobody how long it's been, but it's been a long time. And I couldn't have chosen a better companion to walk this road with.
I say, that's all I got to say is I thank the Lord and it's a God thing. And I mean that people probably constantly say it's a God thing, but I mean, it truly is a God thing.
Well,
God, he does something like that. And you can never lose with the stuff that he uses, because he knows what you need, and he knows what you will outgrow and what you won't outgrow. And I can say that I haven't outgrown you. They say if you the smartest, they say if you the smartest person of all 5 of your friends, right? You need to leave the room, okay?
Right. Yes. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room.
Yeah.
Find some people who can challenge you with whatever challenge you mentally, challenge you in the word,
right.
challenge you with a skill that you're wanting to
right.
acquire.
If you're smarter than all your people in the room, you got to leave the room.
Find a new room.
Find a new room, and one thing I can say is all 5 of my friends, I don't think I'm smarter than all of you. I think I'm the least. Oh no.
You have high levels of intelligence in different areas.
Thank you.
There's more than one. There's more than one type of intelligence. There's emotional intelligence. There's academic intelligence. There's kinetic intelligence, like some people are very athletic. There's creative intelligence, like your high level musicians or creative types. There's more than one type of intelligence, and so you have definitely a very high level of intuitive and emotional intelligence, and definitely that balances my geeky self out.
Yeah, because I was like, remember yesterday I was like, oh, they trying to move on us. Remember that? He was like, oh my God. I was like, you gotta pay attention to stuff around you. Yeah, you was on it. You was on it. That's the type, and that makes me feel really it makes me feel like I'm holding my weight and that I'm worth something. And I really appreciate that. So appreciate all your friends for the gifts and talents that they have. And just understand that God has them in your life for a reason. And I just want to tell the Lord, I thank you for being in my life for a reason.
Don't be getting all sentimental, because then you make me all sentimental.
I'm serious. I'm serious. Through ups, downs, 27 years of marriage, divorce, my new life, what I'm doing, my car accidents. Boy, you got them people that at the first sign of some trouble, they pshoo! But when the fair weather hits and it's nice and stuff, hey, how you doing, guy? Y'all, you cooking over there having a barbecue? And, I can say that, Jackie, you truly have been there through it all, and you still, I love you so much. Y'all, I'm giving her kisses. I untangled your hair today, so you know I love you.
No,
I did take the knots out, didn't I?
You took one big knot out.
Oh no, I took 2.
Not a knot like a dread, but I mean it was a.
I took 2. It was 4 knots in 1 knot.
Yeah, you know how you get that little tiny knot where if you try to pull it, it feels like it's pulling your scalp because it's one strand of hair that's caught and you just can't.
No, not that first one. That first one was bad, Michael Jackson bad. It was like 4 knots in 1. For some reason, I'm good at taking out knots, and I don't even know why.
Yeah, I'll keep you for that.
Yeah, and then, of course, you had one in the back. Remember, I took that one out the back, too.
Yeah,
see, I got her back, y'all. I got her back up close.
All right, everybody.
Bless y'all today.
We hope you have
bless
a
you every
great
day.
week. This is Lady J.
Don't forget to remind them, if you're not hearing the station clearly, please download the app, Gospel Music Omaha. And there's people like, I got an iPhone, and y'all ain't did it yet. We do have to address that.
All right. Well,
so we're working on it.
We do have a financial wish list or a software wish list. If you want to contribute about $800 for us to get that iPhone app done.
It went up and then they got crazy on us. So, but definitely we want you to have it on your iPhone. If you don't have it on your iPhone, get a second phone. Look.
Well, no matter what phone you're on, tablet or device, you can go to our website, gospelmusicomaha.com/listen, and there is a player on there that live streams everything that's going out over the air.
All right, that's what it is.
All right, everybody. I'm Lady J.
And I'm LuvLuv.
And thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.